and thanks for joining us this Sunday on your channel of choice, Africa Independent Television, AIT. And this is the signature show, Mwabuoze Njoko. Now I want to ask a question. Questions. Is there anything Atiku Abubakar knows which is not in the public domain? If he has facts on how the presidential election was compromised, will that not be his weapon to fight his case at the election tribunal? Does Atiku Abubakar need to look elsewhere for endorsement of his other United States so that he can become a Nigerian president? As an electorate, let me say something. I feel insulted that Atiku Abubakar is looking elsewhere for legitimacy. In fact, I should not, in the first instance, have bothered to vote. I take the above position on this issue raised by the Information Minister, Lai Mohammed, that Atiku Abubakar is undermining Nigeria's democracy and that he is lobbying the American government not to recognize Buhari as duly elected until he's through with his fight at the tribunal. But somebody says he's not a Nigerian. That's not the issue. Anyway, to more enabling matters now, the Confederation of African Football, CAF, conducted the draws for the 2019 AFCON Championships on last Friday night. Now just wait a bit. We had only 27 entries in our first predict and win game on the AFCON. Hello, Okafor Damian. Telephone number 0803260. Well, I think your number will roll on the screen. Just contact us either through our email or the telephone number we gave to you. For those of you out there, just keep playing our predict and win AFCON games and you can be assured of bigger winnings. Congratulations, Okafor Daniel or Damian. You will come to our office to pick your winning or contact us and we know how you can get your winnings. Now the question is the situation in Zamfara State just a tip of the iceberg? In other words, the beginning of worse things to come. We'll examine that in our special report. And of course, you don't forget our corruption Tori, which comes immediately after this first segment of the program. To enjoy all this, just stay tuned and we'll be back. Media networks around the world last week made a great issue of the decision by the Nigerian government to close all mining activities in Zamfara State and the order on all foreigners involved in mining in the state to leave Nigeria within 48 hours. The Nigeria police, in explaining why the government's action was well-founded, said that a nexus between the banditry in Zamfara State and mining activities had been factually established. The police subsequently provided additional information when he told the media that some traditional rulers in Zamfara and other states suffering similar fate were working in cohort with bandits, cattle rustlers, kidnappers, and other criminal elements for financial gains, vengeance, or a costly sense of superior influence. The revelation by the police will not be the first time some influential Nigerians will be fingered in the spate of violence which has gripped Nigeria and is choking peace out of its national life. In April 2017, at a strategic national security conference organized in Abuja by the Nigeria police, the Sultan of Sokoto, Saad Abubakar III, said of the involvement of the elite in Nigeria's security challenges.
Our problem is implementations of decisions we have taken, either due to dishonesty, due to lack of seriousness, due to selfishness on our parts. The Because when an issue affects your brother of ethnic stock or religious background, you turn your face away. A criminal is a criminal, whoever that person is. If we can put our hands together to fish out criminals amongst us, because we know some of them, we are not the problem here. We don't break laws. The extent that we pick up guns, cutlasses, and whatever to go. We send those innocent people to go and commit those atrocities. How can we stop and check that?
And shortly before he was killed by Western troops whose nations, the United States, France, United Kingdom, and Italy, in collaboration with some Arab countries, had invaded Libya, Colonel Muammar Gaddafi, the Libyan leader, had said that the world would experience a spate of terrorism which they never conjectured if he was toppled or killed. Indeed, the toppling of Muammar Gaddafi in Libya and the killing of Saddam Hussein of Iraq released to an unprepared sub-Saharan Africa a horde of Islamic fundamentalist fighters who thirst for blood and have capacity to kill, which has created hitherto unknown security challenges. To worsen the situation, the effect of climate change in the Lake Chad Basin has included the drying up of large portions of Lake Chad, displacement of farming, fishing, and herding communities, all of who have moved southwards into Nigeria. The unfortunate situation is that even when much of these information were at the disposal of the Nigerian government and should have raised red flags that should have warranted strategic thinking, planning, and response, the Nigerian government at all levels seem to have been caught unawares. As the signs of the coming danger manifested, they only served as excuses to run down incumbent governments instead of serving as a wake-up call for designing answers to what could have become existential threat to the Nigerian state.
What we should have done if we had foresight was, or if we were being proactive, was the investment in our intelligence. Because when you are fighting this kind of guerrilla warfare, you need to employ a lot of intelligence. You need to bring in a lot of technologically advanced equipment and even arms to be able to, fight these people.
The Nigerian police, which is the nation's prime institution for internal security, has over the years been rendered an irrelevant, irritating, the high-up status servant institution. The police, in terms of personnel, is under-resourced. The welfare of its personnel is hardly reckoned with, even by those who use them to show up their prestige. Equipment which the police need to remain one step ahead of internal security challenges are considered above their status, and so the police is left as a security orphan over whom criminals run, killing their personnel at will and vandalizing their stations and limited infrastructure.
In Benue, we know where these killer headsmen are. We know the island where they stay. But we wonder why there are no air attacks, no military incursions on those areas. The Nigerian military has only become reactive after these people have killed innocent people and left.
Local intelligence is very key, as in extremely key. And as key as it is upon, people are not capitalizing on the local intelligence, the local structure, and the accountability component of the work.
To respond to the situation which is apparently self-inflicted, the Nigerian government has been deploying the military for all manner of internal security duties. Today, the military is overstretched, making it even ineffective in some instances where criminals have created multiple fronts. The seriousness of the present situation, which Nigeria has found itself in, as much as it requires an immediate response, also calls for interrogating some critical objective conditions which have created the situation. In the first instance, why and how is it so easy for young Nigerians to be recruited into this destructive criminality, which have been claiming so many lives, including their own? Illegal mining has been thriving in Nigeria for over 30 years, and many Nigerian elites, including security personnel, high government officials, politicians, and traditional rulers, have become very rich by working hands in glove with illegal operators. Why has the government kept acting in denial all this while? Illiteracy in northern Nigeria has remained Nigeria's disgrace, except, of course, for politicians who exploit it for their political end, and traditional rulers who seem to perpetuate it as a means of averting any challenge to their high status. Well, this situation persists, and Nigeria expects that criminals will not recruit these young men easily for their devious objectives.
These men that are bringing a lot of violence, kidnappings, in some case, trying to take territory, in my own opinion, are not herdsmen, they're criminals.
Does stopping mining in Zamfara translate into stopping the killings of the people? And the answer is a categorical no.
The truth, which Nigeria cannot run away from, is that only a holistic, sincere, and long-term assessment, remedial policies, which must not change with administrations, translated into beneficial and measurable programs, can address Nigeria's present security challenges. Anything else will be mere impressionism, which will avail the country limited and short-lived remedy. The situation does not call for a palliative, it calls for a cure. Yes, let's welcome you to the conversation segment of the Signature Show on AIT. You know, they say that if the mountain, if Muhammad doesn't go to the mountain will have to go to Muhammad. By the circumstance of certain developments in this country, we have reason to take this program today outside of the studio. You know, of course, that suspended Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Walter Onohe, last week threw in the towel. That should have ripple effects, not just in our judiciary, but in the larger national polity. And so we left the studio to go locate Chief Joshua Alabo, a senior lawyer with his PhD insight in law and a publisher of many important legal books. We think that he has a stake in the legal practice and the judiciary. Chief Alabo, you're welcome to our conversation.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you
It's a
very
pleasure,
much.
sir.
Now, there is a culture in this country
Yes, sir.
that when any issue develops, we feast on it. Thereafter, we forget about it, its import and its significance, and begin to wait for another development. Last week, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, suspended Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Walter Onohe, resigned. And since his resignation, it appears that the sea is calm, and it appears Nigerians want to progress to the next issue. But we think that there's more to it than just allowing that thing to die, as it were. Do you think that all that happened around Onoge has hurt the Nigerian judiciary or the practice of law in this country?
Thank you very much. From your opening statement, you can see that the resignation of suspended CJN, Honorable Justice Walter Onoge, on Friday, the 5th of April 2019, is a watershed in our legal jurisprudence, in the sense that CJM has not resigned in Nigeria. The closest to that was during the time of Dr. Elias that was even removed by the military head of state, Murtala. But the removal then was by military, but the resignation could not voluntary action. So it's quite in a different compartment. So in as much as it has happened, it has a grave implication on Nigerian legal system. And it's not something that should just be swept under the carpet. We must x-ray the implications on the confidence of the masses on their legal system and the implication even on serving justices and judges in our legal system. That is the essence, and that is why your question and this interview is quite germane. Because Nigeria, there are a lot of issues that come up on a weekly basis. Before you discuss it now, there are a lot of insecurity. The insecurity should have overshadowed the grave aspect of resignation of a third head of arm of government, which is the judiciary. So I can say that the judiciary will not remain the same. But if you look at the statement that the suspended or the resigned CJ has made, that he has resigned in the interest of saving the judiciary. That means there are a lot of things that made the eyes of an ordinary person that cannot be justified. It will take beyond this interview many days and years, and perhaps maybe in his memo, to be able to capture the rationale behind his resignation.
Now, right from the onset, this now former Chief Justice who just resigned,
Yeah.
the government seemed reluctant right from the onset to confirm him as the Chief Justice of Nigeria. It took the absence of the president for the vice president, who himself is a lawyer, to announce his confirmation. Is it possible? I'm not asking you to be an augurer, I'm not asking you to be a visionary, but is it possible that there were certain things that the executive, the president, had knowledge of? For instance, some of these very wild and serious accusations against the CGN that he knew ab initio, that made him to be reluctant to confirm him.
I recall vividly in February 2017, some of us, particularly I, stood at action in the Federal High Court seeking for order of mandamus to compel the president to forward the nomination of the resigned CJN to the Senate president. And the leave was granted on February 8. Unfortunately, that February 8 was when the acting president now, Professor, the acting president, which is the vice president, then Osibajo then confirmed it, sent his confirmation, and thereafter the Senate passed it, approved it, and it was sworn in as a substantive CJN. Now, in the working of government, it's not every fact that are in the public domain. And if you also notice that for every judicial officer to be appointed, there's usually a DSS screening report of such person. And the report is not only for the time of appointment alone. They keep on monitoring the access and the activity of such public officer, including a judicial officer. So the government have enormous information at their disposal that you, with due respect, may not have access to until they are in the public domain. But the reason why his confirmation was delayed, we cannot phantom or link it to what has happened thereafter, because they are separate transactions and they must be treated as separate transactions for purpose of fairness to both parties, because government did not disclose the reason why they were reluctant. And we should also acknowledge the fact that this government of His Excellency President Buhari has moved in a snail's pace, because look at the duration it took for the constituting the ministers. So if we can borrow a leaf from that to that of the confirmation of forwarding the name of the CGN,
The same slowness.
the slowness, so we cannot say that maybe they were a particular issue they were holding to. If we are to be fair to the government on both sides, and even the suspended or the resigned CJN, because whatever has happened in the past remain in the past.
But there's an important question some of us lay people require from you, the learned people, in all conscience, in all assessment, did the accusations against the resigned CJ and its formal arraignment follow process prescribed by the law?
That issue have generated a lot of conflict of opinion by legal mind, and I have to be consistent with my position. Because if you look at Section 153 of the 1999 Constitution that created NJC and CCB, Code of Conduct Bureau, and thereafter the schedule that created the Code of Conduct Tribunal, in all fairness, without iota of doubt, there's no way the Code of Conduct Bureau will send its finding to NJC, because they are all creation of the Constitution. And secondly, Section 158 of the 1999 Constitution expressly and explicitly states that none of these body, including INEC, which is one of the body there, will be subject to the control of another body or authority, which means that CCB cannot validly submit its funding to NJC. Notwithstanding the Court of Appeal judgment of Ngajowa vs. Federal Republic of Nigeria, which says to the extent that before a judicial officer is tried in a regular court, that such person must have exhausted the trial at NJC. To me, the conflict, it does not arise because it depends on the nature of the charges or allegation against a judicial officer. Like what happened in Kano State, a judge, Justice Auta, that was dismissed by NJC, engaged in a fraudulent or by obtaining by false pretense. In such instance, NJC assumed jurisdiction and then recommended that the police should also pick up the dismissed judge for prosecution. But now, if you look at Section 292 of the 1999 Constitution, which talks about the grounds for removal of a judicial officer, it talks about misconduct that is adjourned by NJC or contravention of Code of Conduct Tribunal. And I see beg to submit with respect that NJC cannot determine contravention of Code of Conduct Tribunal. And even the resigned CJN was one of the head of the panel in Ahmed vs. Ahmed in 2013. There is a Supreme Court judgment to the extent that once there's a contravention of Code of Conduct Tribunal, Code of Conduct, that the only court that sees with the jurisdiction is Code of Conduct Tribunal. So the allegation against the CJN does not border on misconduct in official capacity, but rather a contravention as a public officer to declare his asset. And that point I've consistently maintained until you decipher those two issues. Even though failure to declare a public asset is cannot be deemed to be a continuation of performance of judicial office function, because any public officer has that duty. So it's a matter whether you are a judicial officer or not. So if a civil servant failed to declare his asset, how will you look at it? Will you say, okay, that he should face the disciplinary committee of that is set up by the for civil service? It will be ambiguity, and law does not admit such ambiguity. So the trial of the suspended or resigned CJN before the Code of Conduct Tribunal, with all humility, is in good footing.
Okay, it's in good footing. But one of the witnesses, really, on the side of the prosecution, did say that they had not, under cross-examination, that they did not conclude investigation before the CJN was arraigned. Is there any procedural infraction in that?
There is no procedural infraction. When I say there's no procedural infraction, even there are a lot of cases in Nigeria that even the Supreme Court have severally lambasted a lot of prosecuting agencies that there's a need for them to conclude investigation before arraigning any Nigerian citizen to prevent holding charge. And that is why the Administrator of Criminal Justice Act 2015 prevent the practice of holding charge, that you cannot detain somebody indefinitely beyond 42 days, because there is a period of 14 days. No, 42 days. 42 days in the sense that there's 14
holding charge.
in the holding charge. Because, for instance, if EFCC holds somebody in custody now based on the order of a court, you can hold him for 14 days, then subsequent renewal of 14 days, another renewal of 14 days. Once those three has been exhausted, you must try him in a proper court. And that scenario has repeated in several high-profile cases, like even the one that the learned SAN, Mike Osakome, handled when Fani Kaude was heard. And the court said that the period allowed has not elapsed, so it's not unconstitutional. So coming to the issue of the propriety or otherwise of the prosecutors not concluding their investigation before trying any person, including the CJN, we do respect that. I say that is a wrong procedure. But that is why some of us were of the opinion that the issue of the trial was over-publicized. And because it was over-publicized, assuming the suspended CJN has submitted himself to the jurisdiction of the CCT, all those issues will be arrested much earlier than what happened. Because it took a lot of decision of even the CCT to issue a bench warrant, which prompted his lordship, this resigned CJN, to submit himself to the jurisdiction of the court. And even the court, in a plethora of cases, as a researcher and a publisher of notable books, before you challenge the jurisdiction of a court, you must submit yourself to the jurisdiction. But that is why the first question that you asked, the issue of the right from the trial and the arraignment of the CJN has opened a lot of panorama in the legal jurisprudence, because this is a situation whereby a case was filed on the same day, processed on the same day, assigned on the same day, ruling was given on the same day. That is at the Federal High Court, restraining the city of assuming jurisdiction. But what happened at the Court of Appeal? The Court of Appeal said no, that they were wrong, that you cannot restrain CCT because they are court of coordinate jurisdiction, notwithstanding that they are not expressly listed in Section 6 of the 1999 Constitution. What I mean in the essence is that it will take time for us to actually appreciate the enormity or the damage that have been done to Nigerian legal system with the arrest and the trial and even the resignation of the CJN.
Now, Joshua, let me express a fear which many of us have. A number of interests weighed in right from the time allegations were raised against the now resigned CJN. Political parties weighed in, groups weighed in. The whole thing was looking as if it was politicized, partisanship. Are we getting into an era in which political interests, sectional interests, will begin to play a role in our legal system, in our judicial system, even in the progression or otherwise of our judicial officers? Do you feel that kind of danger?
I sense the danger, and that danger was even addressed by retired Justice of the Supreme Court in his valedictory speech, Justice Alogoa. Because you see that a lot of judicial officers are subjected to tremendous pressure from traditional institutions, even for the judgment of the court. Even the resigned CJN, also in before the National Judicial Institute for induction of new judges, so that corruption is not limited to taking monetary aspect. That there are other influence that wants to take those into consideration, those influence other than the express provision of the law, that you can deem it to be a corruption. So there are a lot of issues that happen that are based on other consideration other than the law, which based on the reason of other juries amount to corruption. So taking into consideration the question you have asked is not novel. Nigeria is I won't say it's a funny nation, but it's not far from that, because we cannot determine what is our national interest. A nation that cannot rally around in national interest is a nation that is at the clip, dancing at the bricks, and which is quite unfortunate, because you see we have allowed tribalism and a lot of sectionalism to even be cloud the fight against corruption and other national issues. Because why? If there's somebody is being tried, and those are because this person is a Christian, because from this part of the Nigeria of the country, without looking at the gravity of the offense. So it's not in the trial of the CJN that this issue pump up only, but even the politicians have been exploiting those issues that we hold so much in high esteem. For instance, like now, with everybody, no matter the level of corruption, Nigeria is quite religious. Once you raise religious card, you divide Nigeria. But when it's corruption, corruption is only what unite Nigeria. Because in sharing the process of corruption, nobody or practice, nobody talk about the religion or where you come from.
Take your share.
You take your share and go and then do your thanksgiving in your various place of worship, and you are confirmed with chieftaincy title or become an elder in a church or the others in the other religion. So Nigeria must address its value system. Our value system has been reduced to such extent that we glorify personality, we worship money, that we cannot actually determine our national interest.
That's another issue.
Yes, sir.
There is a hollowness around the judiciary and the legal practice, which seems now to have been compromised in dragging the Chief Justice of Nigeria into the dock. The respect and near religious respect a judge enjoys seems to have been dragged into the gutter because of this very trial. You will hear very funny statements. This judge is native now. That kind of statement was never a part of the profile of the Nigerian judge. Do you think that this country, judicial officers, can easily recover from this situation?
Apart from the trial of the suspended CGN, we do respect, as someone that have done much research on corruption within the judiciary, even the judicial officer in various fora have been expressing the aspect of corruption within judiciary, even though it's painted as these few eggs that are corrupt. But it's just like when one hand touch the oil, it rubs on the others. So, as far back as 2003, when two justices of the Court of Appeal were dismissed, sitting in Enugu, Okpene, Joseph Okpene and Adeniyi, there are a lot of issues has cropped up that dent the integrity of of Nigeria judiciary. If you notice the Nigeria judiciary before now, we have outsourced our major conviction to the offshore. Ibori was convicted over there. A lot of high-profile conviction was not secure in Nigeria. And even if you look at the arbitration clause, a lot of multinationals don't even have confidence in our legal system. So we must tell ourselves the truth that this is not the first time that is coming up. Look at when the president was in UK, that the former Prime Minister David Cameron said Nigeria is fantastically corrupt. We are trying to justify the statement instead of feel aggrieved, sense of shame. We are saying that it's expressing the obvious statement. So if Nigeria is fantastically corrupt, is the judiciary not a part of Nigeria's system? You see, it's just like the percolation. When you see the erosion of water, it comes from the up downward. And if you see the judiciary is like the last arm of government. Whatever happens in the executive and the legislature, we cannot say that the judiciary is isolated. Fine, there was a golden era of the judiciary captured by Professor Sage, that is one of the chairman of the Presidential Advisory Committee on Corruption to the President. We noticed that even then, Justice Wifo, in his validatory statement in 2005, lambasts the judiciary that the standard is falling, that the corruption has crept to the appellate courts. These are statements that are not made at the gutter or beer parlor. They are made by erudite scholars. And there was a time that Justice Okpoko, before the validatory session of Justice Mohammed, was said that the judiciary has to sit up, that there are a lot of allegations in the public domain. And you must also appreciate that what is happening now is not novel. Because if you look at what happened before the late CJN Casinalo and the president of the Court of Appeal, Salami, there was accusation to the extent that affidavit was disposed by the former president of the Court of Appeal, how he was being cajoled to compromise the composition or the judgment of the Sokoto gubernatorial appeal. So these are in public domain. If we are students of history, we will discover that the hollowness in the judiciary is not necessarily tied to this singular transaction. This time that the judiciary, and that was even my position in 2012, during that saga, I said that NJC should wake up, Nigeria is watching. We have come to a situation where we feel that it's only the rich that get judgment. And that was what Falana made in Enugu MBA when he said that Nigeria is judiciary like a supermarket where the highest bidder gets judgment. And I remember Oshomole, the current chairman of APC, said that we have black market injunction. So if you remember the time of Egbo and the time of Basi Ikpeme, that they are not the June 12th, judgment injunction was procured at the midnight to restrain the conduct of June 12 election.
In other words, this has been a progressive development.
There has been a progressive development without concrete action to stamp it.
That is even what is me again, because in this very instance, those of you whom we look up to as senior selves.
I'm not yet senior sick, I'm a senior lawyer.
As a senior lawyer.
I'm aspiring to the.
God bless you.
Thank you.
As those who defend us, do not forget that law and justice have a way of creating values in society. And the moment the integrity of justice and law is dented, value is also dented. Why is it that while all this was going on, we did not hear really strident position, either by the bar or by the bench? The truth is that both of them took different positions and were partisan as politicians themselves.
You see, it's a function of legal theory and mindset. Because I won't say they were silent, but you should also know that the president of the Nigerian Bar Association is standing trial before the EFCC, which have a lot of dampening implication, if we are to be fair. And even when NBA came with position, a lot of lawyers were against that position, and there were some eminent senior advocate, I think about 21, that took a different position from NBA. It was a middle course, which to me is a cause of justice. It's a cause of saving the institution instead of saving an individual. Because in Nigeria, we try to save individual without saving the institution. Because Nigerian legal system will outlive any living person that is there. Even our children will still come up to inherit whatever legacy we are building. So the issue of the bench cannot speak because they are isolated. The bench is just like it cannot even be heard in. It's recently that you say that I watched the chief justice of FCT and the president of the Court of Appeal appearing in NTA and were deliberating on issue. If not, it was a rare situation to see a serving judge analyzing issue that affect the judiciary. So from the time immemorial, the bench is isolated from the society. No matter the attack, you attack them, they are not expected to reply. They don't have that right of reply, except the bar that we defend them. But you see, when the bar is compromised, when the bar did not stand on the path of truth and verity, there are bound to be a gap in the rank. You see some set of senior lawyer taking a particular position, other taking another position, even though we know what is right. But law, they say, is an ask. But to me, I don't believe that law should be an ask. You must take the position that will save the situation, notwithstanding the individual that is involved. I say, I keep on saying that president of the Senate have been arraigned before CCT. Heaven did not fall. So if anyone contravene the code of conduct, and the Code of Conduct Tribunal has jurisdiction, if they have allowed the CJN, the resigned CJN, to quietly challenge his allegation against him, like what happened in Justin Guta. It's the same CCT that ruled that they don't have jurisdiction over the failure of Johnson Guta to declare his asset. But were you aware that Johnson Guta was before the Code of Conduct Tribunal? But when you bring a lot of politics, how it then become the survival of the fittest, then political interests come in. Who is stronger? Now it's just like the battle between the executive and the judiciary. I don't know whether you understand, because immediately the resigned CJ was suspended, you see a lot of flows in the trial took place. But while he was in the office, you see there were a lot of even National Industrial Code, Restraining Code of Conduct Tribunal. I was asking the main customary court to have issued a restraining order. So what are we trying to say? That's why I say that the implications of what has happened with the right from the filing of the charge against the CJN and the eventual resignation will take century to unfold as to the impact on Nigerian legal system. Except that we are people of short memory, which ought not to be.
Well, Nigeria has so many problems. The trial of the Chief Justice didn't end. He resigned, and quietly things are coming down. We just hope that some lessons have been learned. But more importantly, that the judicial system will profit from the experience of the now resigned Chief Justice. And those of them who are in public office would know that they don't represent themselves alone. They represent the larger national interest, the larger national value interest, the larger national systems interest. Let's keep this conversation at this level today. Maybe a development camp will progress it. For this Sunday, I want to thank you for joining us. Don't you go away really, because after this, we're bringing you something still legal, corruption Tori. My name remains Mwabos Njoko. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I want to welcome you come Corruption Tori again this Sunday afternoon. For Corruption Tori, where we dey do since, we don't talk how corruption dey affect country people life for this country. But come up for how we dey affect work for this country and ordinary country people life, how we just dey live am. E still get plenty things where corruption dey spoil for us. So check am. Make you ask ourselves question. Abeg, wetin corruption don spoil for the money where we dey spend for this government? The confidence wey country people can't get for their government nko. Abeg, what about the money for the services where government suppose just they provide for us normally? How corruption don't chook head spoil that one too? Now these issues them they hold us for mind today as we go shine eye put for all the things wey happen for the case of Babache Lawal. That one are the former seke to the government of the federation under President Muhammadu Buhari government. Where them talk say he chop money, do some kind kurukere movement, can't come out for there. We go still look how corruption don't spoil the matter of to give people government contract for this country. For Wednesday, January 30th, 2019, we Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, will be EFCC for short, carry the person where they first appoint as secretary to the government of the federation when Muhammadu Buhari first enter as president of this country, Babache Lawal, go court. Them hold him with charge of say him do corruption as he carry contract reach 544.1 million naira of to clean water with them, give company for where na him be the director. To talk am straight come off for mouth, EFCC talk say Babache Lawal carry this big contract give himself. It dey better make we remember how this contract matter dey well. Katakata wey Boko Haram don scatter full states wey dey for northeast Borno, Yobe with Adamawa don suffer human beings well as country people don boku wey dem pursue comot for their community. These people wey dem don displace so, dem dey manage body with the small money and things wey charities and other agencies dey dash dem sake of dem don abandon their farm and their home all these years. As e don dey be like say we dey win the war with Boko Haram, dem gas to dey help these people make dem fit move back go their own community, gather their life wey crisis bin don scatter. But all their farms dem, especially the ones wey near water weeds don cover am. The government come do this presidential initiative for the northeast where government go comot money make dem fit help these people return home, come start their life again. Now for inside this initiative, na im dem wan carry this contract of to clear all the water weeds from this farm, make farmers fit to enter their farm, start work again. Dem carry the work of to award the contract, give the office of Babache Lawal as per say na seke of the government of the federation. For this position, EFCC come yarn say this man abuse im office as he carry the contract give companies wey im join for the owners. The case still dey waka go, so we no go fit to add mouth join whether na true or na so e be or no be so e be. But Babache Lawal don take im mouth to talk say im no do wetin dem talk say e do. But if dem fit to prove say true this man do this kind thing, how this kind matter dey affect the money wey dem dey spend for governance for this country?
It don't tell you why the cost or the amount for contract in Nigeria is more than other places. Where person go use a whole 250 million just to cut grass. The money that can do road, they use and cut grass only. Where they go carry people, dash them 1,000, when they go reach 100,000 naira, they cut grass. That's now be the cocoa in this nation. Now they tell you say cost of governance is too high, you too high. Now like this.
See how much they take award contract. Today, any contract where you see for Nigeria today, if to say now 1 billion naira contract, believe me sincerely, say the amount where they go take execute that contract no go reach 400 million naira. You no go reach 400 if the contract na 1 billion naira. Now the sad thing where we say, saddest thing where we say they our country be that.
This presidential initiative for the northeast where the federal government do na to comot for the suffer head where people wey crisis pursue them from their house they suffer. If them carry this kind contract, give company sake of them sabi who get the company or na them even get them, how we go dey sure say them go even do this work well?
When people award contract to themselves, if to say give it to another person, the amount no go reach like that.
But you know, they never put say na himself, it's still
na in company.
When you are a government official, you're not supposed to use your company to allocate contract to yourself. When you be government official, you're not supposed to use your position, take and enrich your family or allocate contract to your family because you don't get vested interest with that. The constitution, our law for Bodo Nigeria, no allow all those things. They make family, friends, acquaintance, make them use government contract to take favor of those people because it go to be like say you favor yourself.
The fear come be say country people don't they lose the confidence and trust for their government. For them to get confidence or trust, them got to see say the government get them for mind for anything with them they do. If this kind protected companies come they win contracts anyhow and them know they deliver as country people need or expect, no be spoil it, they spoil the way country people they look government. No be kill it, they kill the confidence what we get for government body.
Make we remember, say the issue no be only Babache Lawal. The one way Kachuku complain for NMPC, you don't hear the story. Nobody don't hear them again. No. What of the one way even me I talk about an LMA where they happen for industry. No be recently Senate can't discover them. Say them put 42 billion for private company for inside budget. Nigeria, see the country where they happen under anti-corruption Buhari. Small person go steal something for market. Then go catch them. But the big person, they never finish the matter up till now. And the issues like that, they plenty. EFCC go to tell you all the issues where they don't they handle. But the main one where involve the top government people, you know, go here say they don't conclude the matter. That's why Nigerians too no believe say this anti-corruption talk na true talk.
Confidence no dey say this government they fight corruption because the corruption still dey everywhere. They see they collect kickback to award contract Even public servants who they talk, so some of them say they collect people back, if not even be majority, where we say they collect money. No any office today where you go enter for Nigeria, where you go want do anything where be say they will not go ask you for some certain percentage. When we see government where we say it ready fight corruption, Nigeria go see them. Because you go now charity, they say charity begins at home. You go see president where not be president where we say in Peking they use bike, where we say now multi-millionaire, Peking where we say never work. That one cannot fight corruption. No. President where we say in wife now latest in the use all the way to latest way even himself with the president now the latest thing. President where we say is still they live in luxury, where we say they fly all the presidential jet. That one already fight corruption. So the day where we see president we won't fight corruption, it go first start from Aso Rock, where we say you cut all waste. Then from there, when Nigerians go sit down and say, yes, say our God don't show. The one way we fight corruption don't show.
Nigerian government as somebody where we sabi talker, say na turn by turn Nigeria limited. That be why people go do everything kill to enter there because they go say and our turn. Even our Obonge Baba, where they rule now, waiting be they cry everywhere. Now because in carrying people alone put everywhere. Where the confidence they? When people they look at where you come from, who you be, who bring them, where confidence go be? You talk of unemployment, you get some people who still in school where they don't keep job for. Where is the confidence? So there's no confidence anywhere, my brother.
For this Babache Lawal case to even enter court safe, now correct pressure where this organization will no be government get them, Human and Environmental Development Agenda Resource Center. Pack put for government head o. Them write letter give the Attorney General of the Federation say he must to handle this case sharp like the way where them handle the case of the Chief Justice of Nigeria where them suspend Walter Onogen.
As I dey here so, I don't write President Buhari about the corruption where I see say they handle for an LMA ministry. They never fit respond to me until Senate can expose another one. So when I see say for President we talk say in the fight corruption, even member of House of Reps write am say, oh boy, Ogasa, see pay waiting they happen for this your ministry. They could not stop this thing, they don't do anything till today, as I talk to una. Nigerians themselves know say Buhari never show say him be anti-corruption fighter like they claim say he be. Why are they talk so? Be say now after people don't complain tire, now in they even begin follow this Babachi Lawa matter. Way up till now, when they see as the case they go. The first thing we una go know be say, if person will be EFCC acting chairman, remember na still acting chairman. No, Buhari never fit see say anybody else for Nigeria fit do that work. Only this person will be acting. Where Senate don't refuse, say make it no they no go confirm him. Now that man is still keep there. You know why? Because if some of you watch Channels TV May last year, May 15 or 16 last year, this man, Magu, come out for Channel TV wear Buhari picture for him in suit to show you say that kind of person no go fit do things against this government because he don't show say no be clear mind in the take do the work. So this Babachi Lawal matter, make we see whether the court to go do the right thing. Nigerians they watch.
If to say no be say election they come that period, say the EFCC no for take Babachi Lawal go court. Now because election they come, when we say people they talk say this president no fight corruption. Now because before the president go the campaign from state to state, so that people no go talk say they ask some question when he go campaign say why you no do anything about Babachi Lawal. That was why the president quickly tell EFCC, make EFCC arraign Babachi Lawal together with Olushola Oke. So what you will go fit do to really fight corruption? And that's why some of us they advocate for restructuring. Say it is only when they restructure Nigeria that it will reduce the means where we say people they see all this cheap money. As long as I say cheap money they everywhere they circulate, and this cheap money they circulate, the common man no see am. Now only these people where the government they see this cheap money. Now this cheap money these people they see. And now because Nigeria no dey restructure, that is why cheap money dey inside the system like this, where we say no value for money.
Chairman of the organization, Olarewaju Suraju, don't promise say them go follow the case bumper to bumper till it finish. The same way where many country people don't show interest for the matter of these IDPs them, where them they award contracts on top their head up and down like that. Make justice for serve for their matter and for the war where we dey fight with corruption. My people, shebi una see say just because one person wants service in belle and in bank account, he wants service where he stand for the society, he want make him political interest dey better, he fit to just misuse any position when he get for government. But wetin e dey cost for we government? When they look them, when they lead, we can't they comot our trust and our confidence come off for body. All the things where this thing they cause true, e no good at all at all. Shey e no better make we look all these things where corruption they cause. Make we know say one issue of corruption, e dey very big, fit to spoil plenty things. My people, this now where we go leave it for corruption Tori today. Titi reach when we come again next week. My name na Ufoma Eguriasi. Una bye bye.